Guys, today, the Caitlin Clark stimulus package just got approved by Congress today. It's fitting that last time a new CBA deal was reached.
In the complex, multi-billion-dollar world of global sports, the most powerful illusion a labor union can project is the illusion of collective value. When a massive financial windfall hits an organization, the union immediately steps to the podium, takes a victory lap, and claims the entire workforce generated that wealth through shared dedication. But strip away the headlines, ignore the press releases, and examine the actual spreadsheets, and a much harsher reality emerges. Wealth is almost never distributed equally. In specialized entertainment economies, 99% of revenue is often generated by less than 1% of the workforce. Right now, the WNBA Players Association is taking a highly publicized victory lap for a financial milestone they did not organically generate. They are claiming credit for an unpredictable, one-off economic anomaly. This is corporate wealth redistribution at its purest. The unprecedented cultural momentum of a single generational point guard is funding the bank accounts of hundreds of players who created no independent market demand. To understand the scale of this financial illusion, we need the historical context of the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. In 2020, the Players' Union and the owners signed a CBA with a highly publicized revenue-sharing trigger. The terms were mathematically explicit. Players would receive 50% of incremental revenue only if the league hit a predetermined financial benchmark, based on 2019 revenue numbers compounded with a 20% annual growth target. For 5 years, hitting that target was mathematically impossible. The league failed year after year. They blamed the pandemic, poor marketing, bad TV slots. But the reality was simple. The baseline product was not marketable to a mass audience. The league was a heavily subsidized financial black hole, and the revenue-sharing trigger was considered a phantom clause, unlikely to ever activate. Then, the most disruptive, historically unprecedented economic force in women's sports arrived in Indianapolis. Suddenly, the impossible math became undeniable. And now, the Players' Union is using this singular event as the centerpiece of their entire negotiation strategy.
Is upon us. The WNBA generated enough revenue in 2025 to trigger revenue sharing with players for the first time.
For the first time in the 28-year history of the WNBA, the league generated enough raw revenue in 2025 to finally trigger the long-dormant revenue-sharing benchmark. A historic $8 million is now set to be distributed among players across the 13 rosters. The Players' Union immediately took to social media, popping champagne and declaring this payout as definitive proof of their collective value. They are using this milestone to justify increasingly aggressive demands, including a 27.5% gross revenue share in the upcoming 2026 negotiations. In essence, they are looking billionaire owners in the eye and saying, "See the revenue we just generated? Now open the vault and pay us what we deserve." But the $8 million revenue-sharing pot tells only a fraction of the story. The real spotlight lies on the league's group licensing revenue, the massive, highly lucrative world of official merchandise, including jerseys, licensed apparel, trading cards, and digital video game likeness rights. Historically, WNBA group licensing payouts have been so low they are almost embarrassing. What happened over the past 12 months, however, defies conventional sports marketing logic. Licensing revenue surged to unprecedented levels, a jaw-dropping spike that looks impressive on the surface. Yet the reality behind those checks reveals a far darker truth. The economic windfall is being driven by a singular, generational talent, not by the broader pool of players currently collecting payouts.
From 2016 to 2019, they dispersed $280,000. Nobody was buying jerseys, trading cards, merchandise, none at all, none whatsoever. Then from 2020 to 2025, now we're splitting up.
From 2016 to 2019, a full 4-year span, the entire WNBA Players' Union distributed a grand total of just $280,000 in group licensing revenue. Over 4 years, the public was essentially buying nothing. Jerseys weren't moving. Trading cards weren't selling. Consumer demand for WNBA merchandise was virtually non-existent. Then suddenly, the union announced they would split an astonishing $9.25 million in licensing revenue, an unprecedented, jaw-dropping 3,200% increase. The vast majority of that money came in the last calendar year alone. But here's the brutal catch the union desperately avoids mentioning on camera. This surge wasn't driven by fans flocking to buy jerseys of backup forwards in Los Angeles or reserve point guards in Seattle. Almost all of it came from one source: the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark merchandise, her jerseys, her Panini trading cards, and her licensed products. Yet because of the specific, highly socialized mechanics of the union's group licensing agreement, that money isn't awarded solely to the player who generated it. Listen to Nneka Agwamike, a prominent union leader, as she clearly explains the brilliant, yet controversial, wealth distribution strategy the union uses to protect the lower-tier players on the rosters.
Expenses. Quote, "We've grown as a union and put our name, image, and likeness into a collective package." Nneka Ogwumike says, "The union exists for us to be able to represent all players, so I think it's a great way for all players to be able to share."
We're watching a system where players take their name, image, and likeness and throw it into one giant collective pot. This isn't capitalism. This isn't merit-based reward. This is the purest form of corporate socialism, operating inside what is supposed to be a hyper-capitalist sports industry. The Players' Union intentionally designs its licensing deals so the insane revenue generated by one transcendent superstar gets scooped up, blended together, and redistributed evenly across an entire workforce. That massive $9 million pool is being chopped up and handed out to over 250 people. And here's the wild part. That number doesn't just include current players from the 2025 season. It also includes retired players, and even players who have been released from their contracts entirely. Just sit with that for a second. You have former WNBA players, women who are not playing, not training, not contributing to the product, about to receive up to $50,000 straight into their bank accounts. And why? Because millions of fans in Iowa and Indiana lined up to buy the number 22 jersey of a rookie point guard who is carrying the league's cultural momentum on her back. The union leadership calls this sharing in the growth. You can decide for yourself what that really means. Drop your raw, unfiltered, highly analytical thoughts in the comments below. If you want the real business, the real strategy, and the cutthroat corporate truth behind professional sports, hit subscribe, smash the like button with force, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive. This channel doesn't do mainstream fluff. We track the leverage. We break down the accounting. We expose the mathematical reality behind every press conference. See you in the next breakdown.